In this video, I'm going to break down each of my favourite characters for each and every affiliation in Marvel Crisis Protocol. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming, and I hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome to this, another Marvel Crisis Protocol video, and it has been a minute since we've done one on Marvel. We had Star Wars week last week, so we're going to take a little rest from Star Wars and we're going to dive back into MCP. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down my favourite character in each affiliation. Now, as always guys, there are going to be some rules to this because, you know, we've got to set ourselves some rules and some boundaries to work towards. So the first rule is going to be that the character I choose has to be affiliated. So we're not talking about splash characters here. They're going to be affiliated to that given affiliation. And they also aren't going to be a leader, because that's a really easy one to go for. Unfortunately, that does mean that there are two affiliations we won't be covering off in this. That is going to be Hellfire Club, and that is going to be Dark Dimension, because there are no affiliated characters to either of those affiliations. Just everybody is allowed. And to be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of either of those affiliations anyway. I hate how open they are and how you can just take anyone. But yeah, so we're not going to be choosing any leaders. I'm also not going to let myself pick the same character twice because I just don't want this to be a list of XYZ character that you see 3 or 4, sometimes I think 5 times, depending on who it is. So yeah, we're going to make sure that we don't pick the same character twice. And lastly, guys, just to reiterate, these are my favourite characters. They might not necessarily be the best. I'm going to give you some reasons why I really like them. But they may not necessarily be the best characters, but they're just some characters that either I love from the comics or a TV show or a movie, or when I've played them, they've just done really, really good work for me, and they're characters that I always seem to be able to rely on. So without further ado, let's jump in and start out with the A-Force. Not an affiliation I have played a huge amount of. But right now, when I do play A-Force, I am very much enjoying taking Captain Marvel Cosmic Avenger, the brand new Captain Marvel from the new core box. Couple of things that I think makes her work really well with A-Force. First of all, she does have that flight, so she's a great person to be able to carry She-Hulk up the board. But the reason that I really like it is because of She-Hulk's leadership, where it dishes out power, that higher, further, faster. We've got a really good chance of being able to potentially have Danvers turned on, if not round 1, round 2, which feels really nice. You really want Danvers in her, not flipped form, but in her binary form, because she really, really comes to life. Binary Blast, Warbird. She has a free charge in Ready or Not. She's just very, very good. Very, very tanky, super hard to take down, and dishes out a huge amount of damage. Okay, next then, guys, let's talk about Asgard. It feels like kind of a bit of a forgotten affiliation for this game. We've got the 4 new characters coming out, which I'm really excited about to see. Hopefully we get to see those at Mini-Stravaganza. And they are in a spot at the moment where they're definitely not in the best place. Even with the sort of latest editions of Heimdall and Scourge, it doesn't really feel like it added a huge amount in there for Asgard. But if I ever am playing Asgard, there is one character who I always like to take, and that is Loki Laufeyson, the god of mischief. There's really only one reason why I like to take Loki, and it's because it spoils my opponent's day. God of Mischief, I think, is just a very, very good innate superpower even. While within 4 of this character, enemy characters must spend 1 power before using an active or reactive superpower, especially in the early parts of the game. making things cost more money, cost more power, is very, very good indeed. He's also no slouch when it comes to dishing out damage with I Am a God, and that same I Am a God also makes him quite tanky as well, so he is that little bit harder to take down. And with that Trickster, he can get himself out of trouble very, very easily. And of course, because he is Asgardian, he is getting that 1 extra power per turn, which just turns on a whole bunch of things that not only him but the entire affiliation can do as well. Okay then, moving on to the Avengers. And remember guys, we're not talking about leaders here, so Hulkbuster, the 2 Cap Americas, or should I say the 3 Captain Americas, one of them Sam Wilson, 2 of them Steve Rogers, are not up for contention, although I would argue the new Steve Rogers is one of my favourite Avengers characters. But with all of them set to one side, and also remember, I'm not taking multiple characters at the same time, because this guy probably isn't my absolute favourite in the Avengers, but he's definitely up there. And that is going to be the Hulk. Look, if I'm playing Avengers, which doesn't really happen that often anymore, they're not really my favourite affiliation, but if I'm playing Avengers, you are absolutely guaranteed that I am playing Hulk. There is no way I am leaving home without him. And I think he works well, at least under the 2 Steve Rogers leaderships, really, really well. Whether that's OG Captain America just bodyguarding, making sure that there's no damage going into Hulk, or if that's the new Steve Rogers that can really help him make sure that he gets the absolute most from that Hulk smash, making sure that he gets that wild is really, really crucial. Otherwise, it does feel quite bad spending 4 power on an attack, not getting your throw, not getting your stagger, does feel really bad. So he's going to be my pick for Avengers. Okay guys, next up is another affiliation that's kind of been left in sort of on the wayside a little bit, and that is going to be Black Order. Obviously, there are 2 leaders for this affiliation, and you know, I've made my own rules, and therefore I feel like I can also bend my own rules ever so slightly, because in my mind, I'm only ever playing Thanos. If I'm going to be playing Black Order, I'm only ever playing Thanos as my leader. And if I'm taking Thanos as my leader, I want to murder things as quickly as possible. And if I want to murder things as quickly as possible, I am taking Corvus Glaive. Now, because Corvus Glaive has, you know, his leadership is a card, it's not attached on his, you know, it's his tactics card, it's not attached to him sort of directly. I feel like I can get away with this one, but look, if I want to murder things, I'm taking Corvus Glaive. His damage output is absolutely phenomenal. Even now, one of the highest damage outputs in the entire game. His strike with the pierce on there is exceptional. If you can get a Glaive's Edge on there with the death blow, so spending 7 power, but including blanks on there, and then potentially getting that flurry with the movement is absolutely amazing. And guys, of course I'm taking him with the reality gem. Why wouldn't I? Okay, next up, Brotherhood of Mutants, and a lot of really good characters to choose from here. Brotherhood of Mutants were one of the first affiliations that I really played, but it was way back when in the olden days of MCP, where at 20 threat, I used to run 3 characters wide, taking Thanos with the Reality and Time Gem, Magneto and Scarlet Witch. And it was a little bit brutal to say the least. But there is a character who I have always loved in the Brotherhood of Mutants. And again, he's a character that's had a newer version of him. And he's an old character, but that's going to be Sabretooth. This guy just always performs for me. He's got that long move, which is really nice, especially when you're playing him with Magneto, because it means you've got a long mover that can get up the board, do some damage himself, and then you can use Asteroid M to bring him up. He's also got his reactive ability, Untamed Force, where when you attack him, he gets to attack you back. Aggressive on there as well, healing factor, and again, he dishes out a huge amount of damage. And you guys know me, I love characters that can dish out the damage. Has he been left behind a little bit in terms of what's on his card? You know, it's not too clever, it's not too technical, but I still think he's an absolutely solid choice. Okay guys, next up, the other OG affiliation in the game, it's going to be Cabal, the sort of resting place for anyone who has ever done anything bad in MCP. It's a huge affiliation again, and again I'm going to be picking out an older character who I still think holds up to the test of time. It's another 3 threat. He is absolutely solid. Long move. He's got a little aura that gives everybody else rerolls as well, really playing into both that offensive and defensive game. It is, of course, the original Baron Zemo, Helmet Zemo. And like I say, long move, huge damage output. That counter strike for being able to get some extra chip damage off there is nice. He's also got a charge with a long move as well, which is absolutely not to be stiffed at. And as I say, that strategic genius that allows everybody else within range 2 to reroll 1 die in their attack or defense rolls really ups that damage output and ups that defensive output from all of your characters that are in and around him as well. Convocation next, and again an affiliation that I don't play a huge amount of. I'm not a really big fan of the whole magic side of Marvel. I never really have been. I've always been more of a cosmic or a mutant type guy in terms of my love, but typically the Brotherhood of Mutants rather than the X-Men. But there's one character that if I'm ever building myself a Convocation list, I'm always putting him in there. He might not see every game, but for me, he's a great back point holder. He's a great support piece, one of the best support pieces in the game, I think. And that is, of course, Wong. Arguably even, well, not arguably, he is just even better now. Couple of reasons why. He got some extra physical defense, so he's 3s across the board, which for a 2 threat is very, very good indeed. And he now also works with the Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme, because he now works with Stephen Vincent Strange rather than just Doctor Strange. So it's essentially going to a 4 across the board for a 2 threat, which makes him very, very difficult to take down indeed. Okay, Criminal Syndicate next, and an affiliation that is on my radar at the moment as an affiliation that I think I may start having a few more games with. I'm not a huge fan of Kingpin's leadership. Again, it's just really not my play style, but I do very much like Shadowlands Daredevil's leadership, because again it's a bit more about the aggressive side of things. But whichever leader you are taking, a 3 threat even, who I think is really good, but again he's just a character that I really like, is going to be the Hood, or just Hood should I say, aka Parker Robbins. Rapid fire mystic attack is not to be sniffed at. It is very, very good indeed. He can also heal your characters. He's also a transforming character, so he goes into his possessed side, and that empowered dark lightning can be absolutely brutal. Dishes out shock. It's got the empowered arc, so choose any number of characters within range 3 of the target character, equal or less to the number of wilds that you roll, and then the chosen character suffers 2 damage. So the potential damage output for this is absolutely huge, and if you get lucky enough, it can also mean that you can make an attack into a more healthy character, and if you get that trigger, it's then going to allow you to take out a character who only has a couple of health left as well, which is really, really nice. And as I say, he's got his Black Arts, that's the one that I'm looking at, where he can heal them up. Yes, they're going to get a bleed, but removing 3 damage for a bleed is pretty good, to say the least. On to Defenders next, and so many characters in this affiliation that I absolutely love. But because we're only going with affiliated characters, this was the spot where I had to put my Jonathan Blaze, aka Ghost Rider. You guys that have followed the channel for any amount of time know how much I've played him in Guardians of the Galaxy, and now we have a new leadership for Defenders. I say new, but relatively new leadership for Defenders. I think Ghost Rider can do a really, really good job. So if I am playing Daredevil Defenders, I'm absolutely taking Ghost Rider with me. I just really, really like this guy. He almost acts as well as like he really puts off your opponents from attacking your characters early doors because of that spirit of vengeance, where he's just getting that extra power, because give him 2 and he's got Hell on Wheels turn 1. He can get in space to be able to do a Chains of Damnation, and then once he's powered up, that penance there can be absolutely brutal. Also immune to bleed, hex, incinerate and poison, which means that it's quite difficult to put conditions on. And then, of course, he brings his tactics card, where once you murder him, he just comes back to life, which is always nice for you, less so for your opponent. Okay, guys, Guardians of the Galaxy, the true cosmic affiliation in the game. And for anyone that's watched me on the channel has known that they've been a favourite of mine way before they got any of their updates and way before Cosmic Ghost Rider came on the scene. But we're not going to have another Ghost Rider as my favourite character. Instead, I've picked a character who I think is very, very overlooked in the Guardians. He brings something completely different, and that is going to be Ronan the Accuser. Look, let's just go through his card really quickly. First of all, he's got 7 stamina on his front and back, which is really, really good. His strike has got a size 4 throw on it. His universal weapon has got a size 4 push on it. They also get shock, and then that Kree Justice, allowing him to guarantee a stun and stagger as long as he deals damage, and an explosion on the back of it is crazy. But it's the Accuser that I really, really like. You can move Ronan up to the front line, and yes, your opponent can attack him, but if they do, and they do manage to daze or KO him, he's going to be able to advance back towards them and hit them back. And generally, you want to try and save enough power on him to have that Kree Justice, so you get that really, really big 4 cost, 8 strength attack in Kree Justice. Great hammer holder. It just ups his power, ups his damage output, and combined with that leadership from Star-Lord just means getting those triggers is even easier. Medium base, medium move as well, so also really nice on that front. I really, really like him. He's one of my favourite characters in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I always try and find a little spot for him whenever I'm playing. Okay, Hydra up next, and this is a character who I think can work really under any of the leaders. And again, whenever I'm building myself a Hydra roster, she is one of the first, if not the first character that I'm putting in there, and it is Spider-Woman Jessica Drew. Her damage output is very, very good. Her Intoxicating Blast makes your opponent drop all of the objective tokens that they are holding. She still needs to spend the power to pick them up, but sometimes even just making them drop them, even if you can't pick them up, is well worth it. She's a long mover, and she's got I Don't Fly, I Glide, which is a range 2 play, so she's got a huge amount of movement. Interrogate can be really, really good for just keeping up with the VPs, or maybe even going ahead with the VPs during the cleanup phase. And she's got that really nice combination of martial artist and stealth, so opponents have to be within range 3 to attack her, but if they're within range 2, she's going to count blanks on physical and energy attacks. And she's also a wall crawler as well, which with that long move, again, makes it really, really nice for her. Inhumans next, and for anyone who's followed the channel for any amount of time, there is absolutely no question who my favourite Inhumans character is. He's one of my favourite characters in the entire game, let alone just in Inhumans, and that is Lockjaw, the bestest boy in Marvel Crisis Protocol. He works particularly well in Inhumans, really because of that who's a good boy. At the start of his character's activation, if there is another allied character within range 2, he gains 3 power. Now, why is that good for Inhumans? Well, Inhumans want to be moving power around. That's their leadership. They can move power around during any point of a character's activation. So it means that you can turn on a lot of things round 1. He can also teleport people up the board. He's got a size 3 terrain feature throw on there as well. And he can, choose an allied character with his interdimensional bloodhound, and everybody else is going to get an extra die when they attack them for the rest of this round. You guys know me, I really like Lockjaw. He's been a staple in a lot of my quirkier lists that I've put together. Him alongside Kilmonger in my unaffiliated list that I built. He was an absolute linchpin that really let me have a lot of success with that list. So much so that I won 2 events with it. I absolutely love this guy. He's an Inhuman as well, so he's got rerolls. He's the bestest boy in MCP. Don't let anybody tell you any different. So he is definitely my favourite character in the Inhumans. Okay, guys, up next, Midnight Suns. Again, another affiliation. There are so many affiliations now, you just don't get a chance to play a lot of games with all of them. I'm really looking forward to Elsa Bloodstone coming out, or just Elsa as they're calling her. But hopefully, I think she does definitely bring a new leadership to the game, which Midnight Suns are definitely in need of. But if I ever am playing Midnight Suns, there's one character that I'm taking, guys, and it's the Immortal Hulk, right? Like, I enjoy beating things up, so why would I not be taking Immortal Hulk with me? It would make absolutely no sense. Huge damage output, especially with that size 4 enemy character or terrain feature throw, and then add that in to the Midnight Suns cards, and I forgot the name of it, so huge apologies, I'm not going to look it up. That Midnight Suns cards that lets everybody make an attack. Yes, it costs 2, but when that means you get to make a free smash where you've got a potential size 4 throw off the back of it as well, and it's 7 dice, it is absolutely brutal. Look, I know that he's actually quite a good character in the game. He's got some quirky stuff with his green door and everything else and his immortality, so a little bit more advanced than the original Hulk. He's not the Hulk I would have preferred. I really wanted World War Hulk, but fingers crossed we get him in the not too distant future. But yeah, if I'm playing Midnight Suns, guys, I'm taking Immortal Hulk. Why wouldn't I? Sentinels next, an affiliation that I have tried to play a lot over sort of the middle part of this year so far. And I've really struggled with them, guys. They're in much dire need of that Nimrod release. We've already had it teased that he is going to be coming, because just having access to 3 characters, okay, 4 if we count the Mark IV Sentinels twice, is very, very difficult. But there is one standout character for me in the Sentinels, and that is Cassandra Nova. I already liked her, excuse me, outside of affiliation. So, of course, if I'm playing Sentinels, I mean, look, if you're playing Sentinels, you kind of have to take her because otherwise it's really difficult to make an affiliated list. But she's very, very good. A lot of damage output, but also a lot of shenanigans, a lot of reactive shenanigans that you can do either on your turn or also on your opponent's turn as well. Mind Possession, with just that guaranteed advance of the character only costing 1 power, is really, really good. She's got that Psychic Distraction where when somebody ends a movement within range 3, spend 2 power, she gets to roll dice. If she does a damage, she gets to advance, which, really keeps her out of trouble. She's got Telepathic Cloak, which is a different version of stealth. It works in exactly the same way, but there's just nothing in the game that can turn that off, which is quite nice. And also, she's pretty much immune to any collision damage because of that telekinetic deflection, spending 2, and she has that inbuilt brace, which is in fact better than brace because she can use it every single time something's thrown at her. Okay, Shield up next. Another affiliation that I think is doing really, really well at the moment. They've got some really nice characters in there, a lot of staples that people go to, but this is one of my favourite characters in the game, and this is the place where I wanted to put him because I just think he is phenomenal. For what he does for 3 threat. His damage output against the right type of character is exceptional, like very, very good indeed. He's just had a recent glow up, which has made him even better. I have a weird theory in MCP, and I would love to see it happen, but I very much doubt it will, where Taskmaster, who I'm choosing, in my head, he's kind of learnt from other characters in the game. Now, what am I talking about? Well, shield throw. So now he gains a flat power from his shield throw. He didn't before. And I'd like to think that what we're doing there is representing that Taskmaster, over the 2 years that he'd been released before he got his errata, he's learnt from other characters in the game, and now he gains a power. And who knows, maybe over the coming years he'll learn other things as well, and he can get better and better as the game goes on. I highly doubt it, but I would love to see a version of Taskmaster in this game, maybe at a slightly higher threat, maybe a 4 threat, and he had some sort of attack that allowed him to mimic his opponent. So he could, any attack that had been placed against him during the game, he gets to reflect back at them or something like that, or gets to use that attack style himself. But I mainly play Taskmaster as that rogue agent. You've seen him a lot in my Winter Guard lists in particular, but his defensive abilities are just phenomenal. So if it's the second attack that he's taken this round, he gets to add 2 additional dice, so making him 5 across the board. Martial artist, so he adds blanks on on physical and energy. And then what I'm talking about is that mnemonic technique. Add dice equal to the target physical defense. I like to hold Taskmaster back and wait to see where my big physical defense characters for my opponent have been placed. Usually I'm looking at, 4 is perfect, meaning that for 2 power, I'm rolling 8 dice into them, and they don't get to modify or re-roll their dice during this attack, which again is very, very good indeed. I really like Taskmaster. He always does a huge amount of work for me. And again, if you haven't tried him, I would highly, highly recommend it. Okay, guys, next up is going to be Spider Foes, an affiliation that I know a lot of people are very, very excited to play with the release of the brand new characters for them, Sandman and Vulture and Shocker, and there's one more whose name I can't remember, Electro, there we go. But for me, guys, even though there's a different version of him in this game now, if I'm ever playing Spider Foes, I generally want to play Green Goblin Spider Foes. I just prefer him as a character. And if I'm taking Green Goblin, guys, I'm absolutely taking me some OG Dr. Octopus. A 3 threat that I think gets overlooked a huge amount. Flurry of Arms is not to be sniffed at. 434 defensive stat line. He's got a size 2 enemy character or terrain feature throw, but it is range 3 from him, which can be really nice. And he never struggles for power because of that scientific hubris. I just really like him as a character, and again, he's one of those that has always performed quite well for me. So maybe it's a little bit of rose-tinted glasses, or maybe a little bit of nostalgia, but I just love that we've got these characters from the original core box who can still do a really, really good job in the game. So yeah, that's my pick for Spider Foes. Okay, guys, onto an affiliation that I know is a lot of people's favourites. I never liked playing X-Men whatsoever, even though Within the X-Men, it had some of my favourite characters, and this one should come as no surprise to anyone, especially under the leadership, or the newish leadership, of Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. It's Wolverine. Like, look, I could have put him in a few different places, to be honest with you. He's one of the characters who I think works really, really well at the moment. He's a great damage dealer, which I love. He's difficult to take down because of that healing factor 2 and that 7 stamina stat line. Yes, he does struggle from mystic attacks, but you know, you can always bring Big Brother along Colossus to try and help him with that. Best at what I do now makes him actually the best at what he does, having a reduction in power, but also meaning you can use it on any attack. Berserker Barrage, you know, it's an exceptional attack. It's range 3, but also he gets a throw off the back end of it if he does damage, and a place as well. And because that range 1 place happens before the throw, it does mean that you can get yourself into a really good position with Wolverine. Even though the throw is omnidirectional, it does mean that you can get yourself onto a point and then throw your opponent wherever on earth you want them to go. There's also so many tactics cards you can take that really benefit Wolverine as well. If I'm ever playing X-Men, guys, really my team is built around him. I want to make sure I can maximize his damage output, because yeah, I just love me some Wolverine. Wakanda next, and again another affiliation that a lot of people have started to play with the release of the 2 new leaders. So we've got King T'Challa and Kilmonger the Usurper, but I'm going back in time, guys, to some of the first ever core boxes released. Guys, I like the aggressive style, we know this, and who better epitomizes wanting to murder everyone on the board than Kilmonger. Those vibrating weapons are not to be sniffed at. Black Ops Strike, dealing the stagger, or doing the stagger on a wild, is very, very good indeed. He's got a charge on there. Special forces, so if you do find yourself with loads of blocks rather than hits, you can choose to use them instead. And then I really like that he gets better and better as the game goes on. The more characters that he's dazed and KOs gives him a kill count token. For every kill count token, he gets a reroll, just meaning that his damage output goes up and up and up. And of course, I'm taking Usurp the Throne with him as well. You know, getting 2 VPs in the middle of your turn can be the difference between winning and losing a game. And why wouldn't you want to be rewarded for taking out your opponent's biggest character? And Killmonger, if set up in the right way, absolutely has the ability to take out some of the biggest characters in the game. I absolutely love him. And again, kind of going back to that, what I said about Lockjaw and Killmonger were my kind of linchpins in that unaffiliated list that I had so much fun and so much success with. Weapon X now, guys, and again, lots of characters that I quite like in this affiliation. I really just wish this affiliation was a little bit better. You know, not having an out-and-out leader, I think they really struggle with. And a lot of the characters that are in this list, you can actually just play under XForce with a really good leadership now. But if I had to pick one character out who is a standout for me, and again, remember, other characters may appear elsewhere, but it's going to be Domino. Again, an older character, but even with the change to probability manipulation, which wasn't her fault, we all know it was Malekith's, this 3-threat really, really does a really nice job, not only of dishing out damage herself, but also allowing your other characters to really maximize their damage output because of that guaranteed incinerate on that grenade bounce. It only costs 1 power. She's got rapid fire pistols, which makes it so much easier for her to be able to generate power as well. Rarely find myself using lucky shots. It's not often something that I do, but because of that probability manipulation, her damage output can be really, really nice. And yeah, you know, things tend to go my way when this character is attacking or defending. Enemy characters do not roll additional dice for crit results in their attack or defense rolls, just turning off some of your opponent's spike ability, meaning that they're going to be quite flat whenever they're defending or attacking. Again, just increasing that damage output or indeed that defensive capability of her. Next up then, guys, is going to be Web Warriors. Maybe my least favourite affiliation in the entire game. And the reason for that is the play style that those players tend to adopt. I hate this idea of running into the middle, picking up objectives, being pulled away so you can't hurt your opponent, and then just running into the corners and trying to win the game like that. It's not my play style whatsoever. I like to get up close and personal. I don't mind reactive stuff, but it feels like that's really there, at least under Miles, really their only gameplay. ASM brings something a little bit different, but I also do love me some symbiotes. I really hope they bring a symbiote affiliation into the game, obviously led by Null. We're up to our 4th symbiote now, with the release of Gwenom. So we've got Carnage, obviously, who's, needs a little bit of work doing to him, to say the least. We've got Agent Venom, we've got Gwenom, and of course we have got the OG himself, Venom, who I still think can do a really, really good job, not just in Web Warriors, but in some other affiliations as well. Funnily enough, he's another character who was kind of always in and around my unaffiliated list. Clintar Rage is really good. His survivability with We Are Venom makes him very, very good indeed. Symbiote Instincts, meaning that you're defending, or the opponent you're attacking can't modify their defense dice, so it ignores cover as well, which is really good. But two things that I do like is the combination of so many snacks after an attack. After an attack against this character is resolved, it may use this superpower. If the attacker is within 3, this character may make an attack against the attacker. Now, because it just says attack, it means that you can use it with We Are Venom. So you take damage and then use We Are Venom and you heal that damage off. But it's obviously in combination with Lethal Protector. Which, it was the first card of its kind that we saw, and I still think it holds up today. This bodyguarding ability with these tactics cards is one of my favourite interactions in the game, especially when you can do something off the back end of it with a character like this. So, yeah, I absolutely love me some Venom. Is he the best Web Warrior? Probably not, but I think he's the Web Warrior we need. Okay, guys, I would probably say current love in MCP, although I am going to try and move away from them with this upcoming season of TTS, and it is Winter Guard. Now, we've got but some additional characters in there now. So we've got the new Winter Soldier, who's very, very good indeed. We've got OG Black Widow, the 2 threat, which has really helped them out. The leader Crimson Dynamo is amazing, but my rules, we're not going to choose leaders. There's a couple of stinkers in there as well. The bear isn't great, but the character that I've picked is going to be Red Guardian. This guy always does work for me. He acts as a bit of a battery as well, because he just generates so much power. So cards like Sovereign Strike become much easier to get off. His survivability combined with Crimson Dynamos, you reroll 2 of your attack dice. So when your opponent's attacking, you make them reroll 2, is very, very good indeed. And again, he's got a card that I absolutely love in Comrade's Keeper. It's another bodyguard ability, similar to Lethal Protector. This one's a little bit different, though, in the way that it works. You get a throw off the back end of it if you do take any damage. But you guys know I love myself some Nikolai. He's been an absolute stalwart in Winter Guard for me. So, yeah, he takes the accolade of my favourite Winter Guard character. Okay, then, guys, and we are finishing it off with some XForce. An affiliation who I think I would like to go back to. Since the big updates to Cabal, I haven't played too many games with them, and they're on the periphery of the affiliation that I may take a look at for this upcoming season of TTS, which my game is on Thursday, I believe, this week. And again, lots of really good characters to choose from. But the one that I'm going to pick is, for me, one of the standout 3 threats in the game, and it is X-23. Look, I said that not all of these characters were going to be the best, but I think it's fair to say X-23 is up there with one of the best damage dealing characters, at least at 3 threat in the game. She does so much. She's got a huge amount of movement even. With that claw rush, but also her adamantium slash as a builder is not to be sniffed at. She's got the frenzy, so she's got the potential to be able to make 3 attacks in a single activation as well. Assassin training, meaning she's got those inbuilt rerolls on attack and defense, coupled with the rerolls that she's going to get from Cabal as well, forgot his name then, and the healing factor too, so she can benefit from exceptional healing. So yeah, there we go, guys. That is my breakdown of my favourite character in each and every affiliation in Marvel Crisis Protocol. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Are there any in there that you maybe haven't tried yourself? Or let me know what your favourite character is from your favourite affiliation, especially if it's one that you don't see a lot of people playing. I love to take some unsung heroes. It's kind of been a bit of a theme of mine, and I'm definitely hopefully going to be continuing that over the rest of the year, because I'm really getting back into MCP at the moment. Yes, I'm playing a lot of Shatterpoint, playing quite a bit of Mordheim at the moment as well, but I'm really getting back into MCP, and I really want to take an unsung hero affiliation and try and do something a little bit different with them. Guys, I want to give a big shout out to each and every one of our Patreons. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It means the world, and it really, really does help with the continuing running of the channel. All the proceeds from Patreon go back into the development of the channel. And if you do want to support us, you can do so from as little as £1 a month. You'll find a link down in the description below, or you can now hit the join button, which will make you a YouTube member. But guys, as always, you don't need to do either of those to support the channel. Just simply watching, engaging with, so liking, sharing, and making sure you've hit that subscribe button really, really does help. And again, leave me a comment down in the comment section below and let me know what your favourite unsung affiliated character is. We're going to leave it for there now, guys. One last one is to make sure you go check out the Discord as well. Again, there'll be a link down in the description below. Big shout out to Leodis Games, the sponsor of the channel. They really do make running it that much easier. And as always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.